Hi guys, in today's review we're looking at a Hornby model. This one is second hand and I got it from Stafford, Tops Trains. And this one is an Ivatt Duchess 462, City of Salford. And the product code you need for this is R3856. And I paid £145 for this. And this was DCC fitted, but the guy took the chip out, which was kind of him. The only thing that was missing with this was the paperwork, which I've been told is the same as the Princess, so I wasn't too fussed. I believe this came out in 2020 and it's in BL Green Lake Crest. My first time buying a second-hand loco in a while, so let's see if it's worth the money, shall we? Here goes. Starting off at the detail bag you do get two detail bags, but you don't get a leaflet on this, being a second-hand one. The shop owner said there's no leaflet with it, but it'd be the same as the Princess version that they've released around the same time. So it's the same as that. It'll show you how to get in and out of the shell, tender, DCC fit it, all that good stuff. But in the detail bags you get two. One of them is simply the front and back brake rigging for the locomotive. The second one, you get flange wheels for underneath the cab. You also get some drain cocks painted, steps, and a coupling and a vacuum pipe as well. You get quite a lot of stuff in there too, and some chain links as well. Most stuff in here is painted, which is great. Like I said, you don't get any instructions because this is a second-hand one. As we now move on to the front of the locomotive, this being a modern day one, we do have metal sprung buffers, which is great, and they are quite easily sprung as well, not stiff or anything like that. We also have a hole for your spare coupler in the detail bag down below, along with some iron to knock stuff off the track. On the buffer beam itself and housing is in red, with a few rivets on there as well, and a few holes for your details. Moving on up, we do have 3 lamp irons on there. We also have some handles next to the lamp irons as well to help the crew get up and down. In the centre, we do have the cylinders sticking out, which is correct. We also have a place for the crew to stand on. We have a smokebox dark and hinges in black. The whole front of the locomotive is in black. We also have a number for this locomotive, and the number is 46257. And we also have a shed code. I believe the shed code is either Carlisle Upper B or Carlisle Kingmore. It's 12A. Then we have a small handrail and a lamp iron at the top, and then we have the chimney too. As we move on to the side of the locomotive now, there is some subtle differences to both sides, which you get with most models. The other side, where the reversing rod is, I believe, on the other side, there is a separately applied cylinder in black just before the cab. We do have separately applied smoke deflectors. We also have a small handrail at the front. Delivery for this locomotive, I believe, is Brunswick green with orange, black, orange lining on the boiler and around the cab and the tender, and I believe on the cylinders as well. We also have warning signs on the locomotive itself to warn you about electric above, and then we have separately applied handrails too. The splashes have lining. That on the running board there is also some oiling pots and stuff like that as well. We do have a name for this locomotive, which is the City of Salford. I believe it's in Manchester, and this is a Ivatt design Duchess. The wheel configuration for this locomotive is a 462. Around this side we do have a speedometer cable, I believe it is, that is attached to the wheels. If you want to take the shell off, you've got to undo that. The wheels themselves are in black, and the axles do look like they have been covered over, which is great. All the motion is in metal as well. Underneath the cab wheels, the pony wheels, I believe it has yellow for bearings, if I have that correct. It is different to the other Duchess or Coronations out there. The cab is a lot lower than this, it goes down to the bottom, but here it's a flat one. Next to the cab we do have a reversing rod, which I think is plastic, but it's there. Like I said before, the number of this locomotive, being City of Salford, is 46257. We have lining around that as well. We also have a classification too, and in the cab we have glazing. Like I said, the only difference part this to a normal standard Duchess is really the underneath of the cab. Cab, pony truck, reversing gear and roller bearings is the only things that I believe are different to a Stanier version. As we move on to the part that everyone looks forward to in a modern day steam or diesel review, is the cab interior or detail. Right off the start here, this doesn't have flickering firebox or anything like that. It's basic cab before manufacturers brought that in. But what we do have is doors on the end of the cabs. We also have a 4-plate as well, which I think moves. Inside we have copper piping, water gauges, dials, regulator in silver and red. We also have flush glazing too, and like I said, the dials do have numbers and stuff on the are readable, and even the opening for the fire handle is all there. It is wonderfully detailed. As we move now to the back of, or the front of the tender, shall I say, again, that does have a coal chute. It also has some plaques or writing in there. One is a lever, I think, which has to pick up water, and it has 3 lines. There's a few cupboards in there as well. We also have some other plaques I can't really read. Again, I think they probably are for water or something like that. It does have handles on the outside, and like I said, there's a few cupboards dotted around and a few bits of riveting as well. It is highly detailed. The more I look, the more I see. I'm sorry I can't get a really good picture with my camera. As we now move on to the side of the tender, again, the side of the tender is pretty much a standard Princess or LMS tender, and Hornby have captured this pretty well. This is in Brunswick green, I believe, with the black orange lining around the tender. Also have lots of rivets on it as well. We do have a crest or logo in the centre of the tender, which is a late BR one. Again, the printing on this is great. Hornby really get down to a good form here. On to the sole bar, or whatever you want to call it, of the tender. We do have steps. We also have the Ivatt styled bearings. I believe that's why the orange with a line through. Then at the end we also have another lot of steps too. And I believe there's possibly might be a water scoop under there as well. As we now move to the back of the tender, this does already come with a coupling already applied, unlike the front. We also have some stuff to knock off the tracks, some irons to knock off stuff off the tracks. Again, we have round buffers instead of oval. The oval were at the front, now we have round metal sprung buffers. The buffer beam housing is in red with a few rivets. We also have a hook there already, and I think it's the vacuum pipe applied again, half red, half black. Moving on up, looks like we have 3 lamp irons which possibly could be moulded on. It's a bit hard to tell. On either side we have steps going up again. We also have a handle as well. The back of this has no lining, just in Brunswick green with a few electric warning stickers. And I think it has the coal capacity and something else, 2 plaques there, which I keep forgetting are there. And then you have the top of the tender. As we now do an aerial view on top of the tender, we do have a water filler cap with a handle, which is great. We also have a box of some description, which I think could be for the speedo cable, I'm unsure. But that is there. If someone could let me know what that box is for, it'd be great. We also have a reasonable size coal load. It's not too chunky, not too small. And I believe that is removable. And inside, I think it has a motion, or a moulded in motion of a coal pusher. You can also see a few rivets from this angle and the cupboards for the firemen as well. As we do an aerial view now on top of the locomotive, starting in the usual places, which is the cab roof. The cab roof is in 2 colours. The outside is in Brunswick green and the inside is in black. We have quite a lot of rivets. We also have some vents that do move, open and shut. They are quite easy to move. We also have, I believe, 4 metal safety valves next to the air vents. We also have, I believe, is a plastic whistle. We don't have any lining around the firebox, I believe it is. We do have a handle, and we also have some stickers on there for warning you about the electric above. As you can see from this view, we do have orange, black, orange boiler banding lining on this locomotive. We do have a seam down the centre, which I've got to mention. It is there. It is a little bit noticeable, but it doesn't bother me. As I said before, this is the city of Salford, and these nameplates are separately applied. We have, I believe, a separately applied dome, and I think it's a feeder of some description just past the dome. That's there as well. We do have a double chimney, like I've said at the start, and we also have the smoke deflectors that are already applied. These are separately applied as well. The smoke deflectors do have some hand grabs in them too. As we do an underneath look at the locomotive now, like I said before, this does have a speedo cable attached, so if you want to take the body off, you have to remove that as well, so be very careful with that. We do have all metal wheels on this model. We have, I believe it's 6 pickups on the 6 driving wheels. It's just a simple copper strip, which is great. So I believe it's 4 screws to take off the base plate if you want to do that. I'm 99% sure it is got bearings inside, if I got that correct. I could be wrong. You can see some sanding gear, sanding pipes, the brake shoes, the brakes along the side as well. Like I said, underneath the cab we have flangeless wheels. There's a flange pair in the detail bag. If you want to add that, just take the one screw off and place it. But be careful on bends, it's more for show, I believe. Again, we have the Ivatt axles on underneath the cab too, and there's lots of piping around there as well. We also have the Hornby sign and made in China, and of course there's some piping along the cab as well. And finally, as we do a underneath look at the tender and loco to tender connection, it is simply the old-fashioned way that Hornby did it back then, which was a plug and a bar going across with 2 screws to get it to your preference or curves. Personally, I didn't mind it, but Hornby have changed their ways, and this is the old version now. Still does the job for me. We have pickups on all 6 wheels on this tender. We also have a few screws to take off if you want to get to the pickups as well, to take off on the base plate. We have a water scoop too as well. If you want to add the brake rig into the loco or tender, they're in the detail bag. And at the end we do have a NEM small tension lock coupler. We also have one in the bag for the front as well. There's not really much to look at underneath the tender, but I just thought I'd show it anyway. So yeah guys, that's it on the tracks. Next it will be the usual second radius and points test. This being a modern loco, it might struggle on second radius, even though Hornby say it can do it. So here goes, let's find out, shall we? A little stuttery. What's that, 20? It's a little stuttery, but it still managed it at a slow speed, which is surprising. And this is second hand. So yeah, it managed that pretty well. It did stutter a little bit on the points, but that was slow speed and it is second hand. I might need to check the pickups. Next up will be some slow speed and I'll find it a train to pull. So here goes. What's that, 20? Pretty good. This is now DC ready, so yeah, just speed up a bit more. Runs pretty well. 20 is pretty good actually. Yeah, so that's the end of the review and running session. Before I give my opinion on this loco, I'll tell you what it was pulling was a mixture of maroon coaches, all sorts from LMS to Royal Mail to BR. And at the end we had the Hornby 6-wheeled generator car or unit, just something different. Like I said, I got this from Top Models in Stratford, and I paid £145 because it was missing the instructions basically, which didn't bother me. It ran perfectly in all directions. The guy showed it me running, fantastic shop, lots of stuff. The model itself, yeah, it's Hornby have gone to town. It is an Ivatt Duchess, and it had a few changes which you can tell from a standard Duchess. So it had a different cab, pony truck, reversing gear, and roller bearings. Yeah, the cab is a little shorter than the Stanier Duchesses. For £145, it's not bad, saying they're going for eBay second-hand for £200 easily. It's something different in the LMS range. It looks quite nice in this BR green late crest. I had no issues with mine at all. Like I said, it was DCC fitted when I bought it. The guy took the chip out for free and put a blanking plate in, which I believe is in the tender. So this does currently take an 8-pin DCC chip. It has a 5-pole screw-round motor, if you're interested, and according to the website, it will do second radius. I can't see Hornby releasing these anytime soon, if I'm honest with you. It's been a few years, as far as I'm aware, either this or the William Stanier in maroon or red, which looks fantastic. Like I said, it managed the points. Was a little judgery, but it's probably my fault because my was a bit iffy, but it managed the points, it managed second radius. There's no issues with this at all. The detail bags were not opened, they're still not opened. So I have no issues with these. I know some people don't like them because I've messed with them. I got a few nasty comments online, but it is what it is. I highly recommend the shop. And if you're interested in these sort of models, just look around. I waited a few years after it came out to see if I get hold of a decent one at a good price, and I did. So I am a happy chappy. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please take care and goodbye.